Their lives were cut in half the last time the U.S. government decided it wanted to build a wall. And Ray and Deanne Loop couldn't believe it. Their family had been farming this South Texas land for nearly 100 years until the notice came the government was taking it.
I was very angry, and I just kept saying to Ray over and over again, how can they do that? How is that possible in the United States that they can do this? Put up a fence in front of our land and then keep us in here, lock us in. I didn't understand. I was floored and flabbergasted.
That was almost 10 years ago, and the Loops, like hundreds of other landowners, thought they could fight. They lost. The government paid them a settlement and took the land it needed to build this fence, cutting their farm in two.
It essentially left us no property on the U.S. side of the border wall, including my house, my residence. Everything was behind on the Mexican side of the U.S. border fence.
Unbelievably, these American citizens were locked out of their own country. Their farm ended up on the south side of the border fence, still on U.S. soil, but wedged between the fence and the border with Mexico. Their only access to the rest of the U.S., a locked gate.
There's not really words to describe it. We've learned to live with it, but when you come and you enter the border gate, you punch your code in, and you come behind the border wall, there is a feeling of isolation.
A few months ago, the family found out just how isolated they really are. In the middle of the night, a fire broke out, and as the fire raged, fire engines were slow to get there, hampered by that border fence.
And I kept standing there yelling, where are they, Ray? I had called 911. She was clear. She heard me on the call. She knew where I was, but they couldn't get in here. According to our neighbors, they said the fire trucks kept driving up and down the street. We heard the fire trucks.
The family got out barely, but not their pets.
We had a little miniature goat. He was on fire, and he was running out of the structure screaming because he was burning alive. Everything was gone. He told me, you cannot go back in for them. And we all stood in the yard, and we had to listen to their cries, burning alive, and we couldn't go back in and save them.
The Loops story is part of a CNN analysis of 442 lawsuits filed by the U.S. government against American landowners. The property owners either fought to keep their land or tried to get more money than the federal government was offering under eminent domain. In most cases, a CNN analysis found those landowners lost the battle. And a decade later, 93 of the lawsuits are still in court. What did all those landowners get? A total of $78 million, the fair market value to cover 654 miles of current border fence land the government took. But what happened 10 years ago in mostly desolate, dry ranch land will be nothing compared to what's about to take place. President Trump's recent executive order to expand the border wall could stretch into more highly populated areas. It will bisect even more farms, golf courses, resorts, and ranches. Hundreds of miles of wall and hundreds, if not thousands of landowners will be forced to sell their property to the government. Former Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Ralph Basham says expect huge, prolonged legal battles.
Particularly in the urban areas, it's going to be very complicated. It's going to be, it's not a popular idea. And like I said, individuals are not happy when they lose part of their property.
The Riverbend Golf Club and Resort in Brownsville, Texas is bracing for the worst. The fence is already here on the right and the left. If the government decides to finish it, it will cut the resort in two.
70% of our property would be on the south side of the wall. That would affect 15 of our 18 holes of the golf course and over 200 residences.
Jeremy Barnard is the general manager and says residents here will fight for fair value of their property.
I don't think anybody here is just going to hand over their property.
Pat Bell is one of them.
And what happens here means everything to me.
Like almost everyone CNN talked to along this border, Bell is a Trump supporter. But she does not support a wall, especially one that would essentially move her home to the Mexican side of it. She says fences and walls don't work, which is exactly why she plans to fight for her property.
So absolutely, I would go to the people that are in charge, and you hate to say I would get a lawyer, but if it come to that issue and you had to, you would.
Bell, like thousands of other property owners along this border, nervously wait the final design, placement, and eventual legal notice that the U.S. government is coming to take away their land.
Drew joins us now. So to be clear, Drew, no notices have gone out yet to property owners, but if the president does go ahead with the wall, how would things then unfold?
Anderson, if history repeats itself, landowners will be forced to sell their property to the government, lose their land, and not be paid what they think that land is worth. We have done an extensive analysis of all the lawsuits that came out of the 2006 border fence expansion, and what we found, Anderson, is that property owners who fought the government to keep their land always lost, and the government offered them thousands of dollars less than what the land was worth. That's from more than 400 lawsuits. The people lost their land, lost their court battles, and got paid less than what they wanted.